Let's get started. All right, today I wanted to talk about, well, actually, before I jump into what I wanted to speak on, in here in Michigan, today, 23rd, man, it's quite chilly outside. So hopefully everyone that's here, enjoying the day, and everyone that is for the West Coast, enjoying the warm weathers. Hopefully we'll get back some of those warm days before we really get into the winter season. But anyway, getting back to the topic here, I wanted to speak on the topic "Just Walk Away." So, what this meaning comes from is typically you're writing a paper, or you're reading a book, or you're trying to have a discussion with someone. And I think one of the best things that I've learned, I'm always fighting over this, depending on the level of complexity and the time constraints that you have on what are you working on. But let's just stick to it with, if you're reading a book, or you're writing a paper, or you're having a conversation with someone, the communication of that paper that you're writing, the book that you're trying to read, the communication that you're having with someone, if you're extremely effective at communicating, typically you can get it knocked out in the first go around. But myself, and I'm pretty sure quite a few others, you have a challenge with making that first go around presented as clearly as possible, such that you don't have to go and do the revision, right? So just walk away basically boils back down to the point of, when you're creating something, that paper, you should write the paper as best as you can in that initial draft. Basically put it away, come back to it at a later date, maybe a later day, or a later in the week, depending on how urgent it is. And you will see that what you were trying to convey in that initial draft isn't the best way to convey that information. And you will see it yourself. And if you don't see it yourself, try to have someone else view it, such that it will be delivered in the fashion that you want. So I am not the perfect person at this. I've been shown plenty of times that, this work that you've presented here is terrible. You need to revise it. I'm like, okay, I'll revise it, and come back a second or third time. But the thing was, I've learned that you should be able to amplify that to the next level, reducing the amount of revision that you have in the paper by basically writing something. And if you didn't get the response that you want, and they're open to working with you depending on what you're writing that paper for, then write it, walk away, come back, read it over, write it again, and then present it to the person. Or you can do the other, you can write it, you can present it to them, have them look at it, give you some quick revision notes, and then you look at it a few days later with what they had recommended, and then you rewrite it and present it back to the person with what they had recommended, as well as what you thought. And then you will see that it works out better in a long haul. I mean, it comes from, when people are publishing books, I mean, they have editors that support in the publishing of the book, so you have to have someone that revises it. And so enough with papers. It just goes, this is the same idea, but a little bit on a different note with books. When you read a book, you're trying to get a certain interpretation out of the book. So if you go back after you being a practitioner, you've applied something that you were trying to learn in a book, and then you go back and you figure that you didn't do it correctly. You go back and refresh yourself on that book by reading it a second time. You'll figure out that, oh, you know what, I missed this step here, here, and here, and then you go and do it again. The last piece I was mentioning, which was communication. So when you're having that conversation, you're having that conversation with that other person. If you can have the conversation in your head, and then be understanding of the person that you're going to have the conversation with, such that you know what buttons to push and what buttons not to push, such that they throw up their defensive barrier, you'll figure out that you can have a very effective conversation by basically redoing the conversation a few times in your head before you get to it. Now, don't do it so many times that you just overwhelm yourself and stress yourself out, but do it enough that you get a good flow of what you're trying to convey and what you're hoping to receive. So, again, um, just the whole thing about this video is just trying to make sure that you understand that just walk away and then come back, and multiple revisions basically perfects what you're trying to do in that paper, in that conversation, and in that book that you're probably trying to read. All right, guys, talk to you soon. See ya.